This is PARVEEN, your environmental science teacher. Dear student, I hope you all will be in good health. Today we have started video session for you, and you will receive recorded lesson for your convenience. So today I'm going to review the topic that we already have done in our physical class. In the beginning, you remember we started our environmental science course with the topic renewable and non-renewable resources. So you know that the environment or the nature has made resources of two different types. Broadly, we categorize resources into two types. One we call renewable resources. It means the resources that once used can be remade by the nature, and it can be reused again and again. There is no worries about renewable resources. On the other hand, we have non-renewable resources. It means that if this type of resources are non-replenished, it means that it cannot be remade in a given period of time. It is remade in a longer period of time. Almost a decade takes place for the remade of this type of resources. So renewable resources are of different types, and of course likely non-renewable resources are also of different types. So today we are going to see these type of resources in detail one by one. So let's begin with non-renewable resources. So a non-renewable resources is a natural resource that can be remade or regrown at a scale comparable to its consumption. There is no worries about the non-renewable resources. Resources is natural. Both the resources are natural. Nuclear energy, nuclear fission resources like uranium to create energy, and nuclear energy is non-renewable resources because once the uranium is used, it is gone. You know that uranium is a radioactive element. It has its radioactive emission throughout its life. Throughout its existence, uranium, whenever it is present, it will emit radioactive rays. So once the uranium radioactive rays is emitted in the atmosphere, so uranium will be gone. Likely, we have coal, petroleum, and gas. Collectively, these type of resources are used for burning purposes, so we call it fossil fuels. They are called fossil fuels, like coal, petroleum, and natural gases. So they are categorized in non-renewable resources, as you know that they are once used. Once we use coal, once we use petroleum, it will be finished. And for remade, for nature will remade it for us again, but it will take a longer period of time, a longer period, almost a decade. The consumption is more, and the remade takes more time. So it's non-renewable resources. So now the question arises that if non-renewable resources are resources that cannot be remade at a scale comparable to its consumption, then what type of resources are categorized into renewable resources? So renewable resources are natural resources, of course, but that can be replenished or made in a shorter period of time. It doesn't take place, it doesn't demand a longer time period for its remake. The resources that are included in renewable resources category are solar energy, sun, you know that are natural source for energy for solar energy, are wind, water, geothermal, biomass. I think that you may become wonder when I say water is a renewable resource because whatever we experience nowadays that we cannot say that water is a renewable resource. Why? Because water scarcity appeals us to categorize water in non-renewable resources. But let me tell you that water is a renewable resource. Why we face scarcity of water is just because of two main factors. Two main factors are involved for scarcity of water, and that two main factors are the contamination of water. Whatever the water is present in nature, we contaminated it, we polluted it with different anthropogenic activities or human activities. And another factor that becomes the source of scarcity of water is the uneven distribution of water. The water, whatever the water is present, we are not distributing it with a fair sense of with a fair sense. It is distributed in the world by with unfair means. That in our city also the water mafia works, and we get that water with, through tankers. So water is actually the renewable resource. Okay, let's move to solar energy. Solar energy. What man has done, that it's a era of modern technology, and we are benefiting ourselves with our technology. So we have made solar panel to trap solar energy. In solar panel, we use an element called silicon. Silicon has the tendency to absorb maximum amount of heat energy. That's why solar panel is used to generate energy. You might have seen that at Shahi Lal Qila, they are using it as solar panel energy for their restaurant. And in some other open areas, people are using it for the production of energy. You know that the generator costs a lot, while solar panel energy is the most beneficial way of getting the energy from the sun. Acha, now geothermal energy. Geo means earth and thermal means heat. So it means that geothermal energy is what sort of energy? It is the energy from earth's heat. Beneath the earth, there are some activities of the elements present beneath the earth takes place, and that activity produces heat, and that heat is of course trapped in the earth, and that may cause volcanic eruption, etc. And that type of energy we call them geothermal energy, wind energy, energy from the wind. You might have seen this wind power plant, and in Holland it is used most frequently. People are using wind power energy. Biomass is the energy from burning organic or living matter. Water or hydroelectric energy. Energy from the flow of water. When the energy flows, it produces energy. And that energy is called water or hydroelectric energy. In our forecasting, we are generating energy with the hydroelectric source as well. So it means that both type of resources are not same; they are different. So can we summarize now the differences between the between both type of resources? Do you think there is any similarity between these resources? Yes, there is similarity that these both type of resources are natural resources. Both type of resources are natural resources, but there are differences as well. And the differences as well is that natural resources can be remade at a shorter period of time, while the non-renewable resources cannot be made in a shorter period of time. It can be remade, but it takes a longer period of time. The consumption is more, and the remade time is longer period of time. All right. So I hope that these differences you have recapped it and you have reviewed it. We reviewed this type of resources. Now, sustainable world, the sustainable development. I hope everybody knows or remember that we have done sustainable development in detail. In environmental science, we believe in a word that is sustainability. Sustainability means if we will not see the literature meaning of the sustainability because environmental science has its own definition. What environment says about sustainability, it says that it's a stage of using resources, how should we use our resources? Sustainability demands that resources should be used in such a way that it should fulfill our demands, but it should be kept at the same time for our future generation. It means that you can say that resources should not be used in such a way that our generation ends up with every resources and we cannot left anything for our new generation. So sustainability is very much required for the world. So how can we achieve sustainable development? First, see the definition, the normative definition of the sustainability is the development that meets the needs and aspirations of the current generation without compromising the ability to meet those of our future generations. We have to keep in our mind that whatever nature has produces us, it's not only for our generation, but it is for another future generation as well. So it's our utmost responsibility that we should care for our next generation as well. We should not exploit our resources in such a way that the future generation cannot avail these resources as we are using it. Likely you have seen that we have done deforestation. So deforestation results in pollution. You know that. So we have rise pollution in such a way that we polluted everything. So, what the future generation will see if we will not take remedy for this increasing rate of pollution, then what we are going to do for our future generation? Are we willing to live a polluted atmosphere for our next generation? So, we have to think over it. Another definition that the environmentalists believe in is about the sustainability is that development which enables individuals and communities in underdeveloped regions of the world to raise living standards through profitable products consistent with minimizing adverse environmental effects. Now, after definition, we will see the sustainability components. There are four major components for in sustainability, and that components are environmental, economic, social, and political. So we will see these one by one. We have 3 R's in our sustainability. We believe in 3 R's in our sustainability and what these R means. One R is for reduce, another R is for reuse, and the third R is used as recycle. Reduce means what? We should reduce. What should we reduce? We should reduce pollution. What should we reuse? We use our resources as much as we can. Like you know that our PET bottles once used can be reused. Recycle, recycle. You know that we have recycling processes in which we remade things by in our factories, in our industry. So developing countries are really good at this. They are acting on these 3 R's in very strict manner. They have proper regulations for implementing on these 3 Rs. But do you think that are we also strict on you 3 Rs in environment to somehow, yes, we are, now we are using, we do believe in 3 Rs, but if we see the implementation around us, we see that we are not implementing 3 Rs in our life. We are still throwing plastic wrappers, bottles, garbage in oceans that is earning for us, that a source of so many resources for us. But what we are going to give oceans in reward, we are throwing our rubbish in ocean whenever we get a chance to visit that ocean. Okay. Eco-efficiency, you might have seen nowadays eco-ideal um, cars. So, I hope you know that what are eco-ideal cars that produces minimum amount of pollution. How do eco-ideal gas producers eco-ideal, they become eco-ideal by producing less pollution. They produces less pollution in the environment. Firstly, the quality of the petrol, Euro 3 they use, basically Euro 3 that has less minimum amount of impurity. And secondly, they have catalytic converter that whatever the impurity is generated through the engine, that is collected in the catalytic converter. Catalytic converter is just like as you see your vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaner, what does vacuum cleaner, how does it works? You know that vacuum cleaners collects all the dust from your carpets and and then place them in a bag, and that bag at the end you throw it out, you garbage that bag, and that bag contains the waste that is generated through the carpet. Now, credit to cater manufacturing. Manufacturer is responsible for the product through entire life cycle. Our industries great responsibilities in on the shoulder of our manufacturer, our environmentalists, that they they work on upcycling things, and they should not throw their toxic materials to the drain, to the water, which is used for the vegetation purposes. You know that the water near Liari and Mali river. What sort of water is that? That water is actually the toxic waste from the industries and factories, and that water is poured in the Malin and Liari river without treatment, and that water contains toxic element, and that toxic element water is used for vegetation purposes, and that vegetation, and that means that fruits and the vegetable grown through that water is used in Karachi, and you know that the main cause of our cancer diseases just because of that toxic waste contaminated water that is thrown, that is drained in Malin and Liari River by our industrialists without treatment. So again, that is against our sustainability. Ford website, if you see Ford website, the recycling should be done. Recycling will help us to conserve and preserve things. Secondly, cleaner manufacturing. Manufacturing should be done in a clean way. If you say cleaner manufacturing, what does it mean? It means that manufacturing in such a way that it does not contain any hazardous material, any material that becomes toxic for human life, nature, and wildlife. So, do we really care about wildlife? I think we don't care for wildlife. We care for ourselves only. what we are doing nowadays. So many animals are becoming endangered. When I was a child, so I used to hear that dinosaur was there was a dinosaur and that is become extinct. But now what we are telling our children that there are so many animals that are endangered. A lion, a tiger, dolphin, whale. Yes, there is a list of animals that are endangered. What does it mean when we say that animals are endangered? It means that they have threat. They have threat. Threat from whom? Threat from environment. And who is the caretaker of this environment? We are. God has made us the caretaker of this environment. And what we are doing, we are destructing their habitat. We are through deforestation. We are we are reducing habitat of our wildlife. So many animals got threat by their habitat. They have no place to live, so they are becoming less and less. And if we will not take care, very soon we will say that these animals are now extinct. As nowadays we say that dinosaurs are extinct. There is not a single species of dinosaur on the mother planet. So we have to think that we what can we do for the wildlife? We can we can do afforestation. Afforestation means what? If we are cutting down trees for our use, okay, we have right. God has made this world for the human being. Human being can use trees for their benefit, for their uses. But if human is cutting one tree, so it's the responsibility of that person to plant two more trees. If two trees are planted and one is cut down, then it will really make no difference. It will not put the animals in danger, and the habitat will not be lost. Okay, air and climate. Nowadays, you might have heard on social media that okay, fine, ozone layer is not depleting anymore, and the ozone layer is recovering. And you might have heard that there is less emission. The sky is blue now. After a longer period of time, we Karachi people are able to see blue sky. So we have to think that if there is less pollution nowadays, if there is no more any more depletion in ozone layer, so reason is that we are not we could not perform our that adverse anthropogenic activities that we used to do. Due to coronavirus, we were compelled to spend our time in our home, and we cannot produce emission from our car. Our car couldn't produce emission that contains polluted air that makes the environment polluted. And ozone layer depletion is also recovering because we are compelled to sit at home. So we have to really think about our air atmosphere. If we really want to live in a healthy air environment, we have to make and try our level best to make it clean. By making it clean, how? By producing less pollution, less air pollution. You might have seen climate change. Climate change, there is a big issue about climate change. Yes, of course, climate is changing very rapidly, and that climate change is also because of environmental threat. So we can control climate change as well, because you know that these climate change produces so many problems for human being. So we have to do some remedy for that. On a government basis, you know that climate change conferences takes place in Paris in every fourth year. And Pakistan also chaired that conferences where the scientists from all over the world sit and think about to preserve, to get rid of these climate change threats. Because if the climate will change abruptly, it will harm human beings and of course animals as well. So animals cannot do anything for themselves. We are responsible to make this planet a better place for ourselves and for animals as well. Do you think that we can do greenwashing? We can make the environment green? Yes, we can. We can make the environment green. PM advisor to environmental to environment Malik Amin Aslam once said in a conference that they plan to make green belts in Karachi in 2020. So, do you think we can really make green belts in our country, in our city? Yes, we can. We can make green belts by planting trees, more trees around our environment. This will reduce carbon dioxide emission. This will give us fresh air, the air that we really need to survive. Social sustainability. How can we achieve social sustainability? Sustainability can be achieved by thinking about others, by giving space to others. Appropriate technology, there are simple, low cost local policies that can be adopted for appropriate technology um, and to make a sustainable world. Acha. Economical sustainability can also be achieved by using available labor, avoid using scarce capital, and avoid work stoppages associated with importing spare parts. That in Karachi we have home-based factories. Also, there we are our Karachi people are making small products, home-based products. Even the women are used in manufacturing small items, daily used items in their home. Acha. What are they good for? Markets. If you think what markets are good for? Markets are good for producing a sustainable development by producing products that can be used at a low price and low cost. Acha. After that, we will see that there are 3 R's in environmental science. We believe in 3 R's in environmental science, and that 3 R's usually refers to that reduce, reuse, and recycle. 3 R in environmental science. In exam, you may ask about to write a note on 3 R. So this you have to learn in detail. Sustainability in 3 R. It means that if we talk about 3 R, it means what that we should believe on this production cycle. It is said production, consumption and use, discard, treatment. So if we discarded anything, it can be retreated, and it can be treated and it can produce through treatment another product can be manufactured. A discarded material can be used for consumption and reuse, and it can discarded material can also be used for producing some other material. Acha. The natural material inputs, as you can see this cycle, what does this cycle say? The natural material inputs that produces production, that produces some material for us. And that material can be consumed and used by the human being. Once that consumption is done and used by the human beings, that it is discarded. The discarded material can again be treated and it can be used for the production again and again. So in this way, recycle those things, recycled material can be used and again, and it is repeatedly used. Good things can produce more products in a low cost. At a sustainable production in 3 hours is the sustainable consumption. If we will produce just in a sustainable way, of course we are going to use it in a sustainable way as well. What does it mean? It means that if we are producing some material, some, as you said that we are using some products, we are manufacturing some product with the raw material or with the material that is recycled material. So it means that we are producing sustainable. We produce a sustainable production, and that sustainable production can be used in a sustainable consumption, because that sustainable production will, of course, that would be less cheaper, and it can be consumed by more people, because we are a developing country. We we are short of money, and we have to think wisely when we consume or we buy or purchase anything. Now see, it's a cycle. And what does it say? It says all about the story of 3R. The 3R produces, if we act strictly on 3R, then it can result in greener procurement. It can result in industrial ecology. Ecology will be developed of industry. It will result in global reporting initiatives. Our environment, our global warming can be overcome through 3R. We can produce green labeling. We can produce a green belt in our surrounding if we follow 3R. 3R means reduce, reuse, and recycle. So this 3R is an umbrella concept for other concepts. It generates other concepts as well. It generates cooperative social responsibility, 3R. It generates EMS and ISO 14001 productions. You know, this is the certificate we get from company ISO I1. So, and likely it produces socially responsible investment. It integrated waste management. You know that waste management is play an effective role in producing 3R in our city, in our country. We have to integrate our waste management. So if we follow 3R in our life, and the sustainability in business and industry. So if we design for environment, energy efficiency, if we plan projects based on energy efficiency, if we design building that is environmental building design. If what does it mean if we say that environmental building design? It means that whenever we plan a building, if we go to the architect, you know that architect will take care of environmental conditions in planning or in sketching any building. If architect works to plan a building, if he will think about the environmental situation at that place. Nowadays, what we are doing, are we really following on environmental building design? No. And you might have heard that so many flats and the homes are abolished nowadays. The reason behind that is that on 120 square feet land we have designed or build a flat of fourth story or triple story flats. That is not environmental building design. Environmental building design demands for all the environmental conditions that can be met in the building where for which we are designing anything. Environmental management system and environment air pollution prevention. Air pollution prevention can be done only and only by using um, catalytic converter in our car, in our vehicle. Water pollution prevention can be prevented by avoiding contamination, by reducing contamination in water, and recycling and waste reduction, and resource conservations. Resource conservation, whatever the resource is available for us, we should not spoil that. We should not spoil them. We should rather conserve that. We should use that for our needs, and whatever is left, we should conserve that as well for our future generation. I hope that these things will really help you in learning sustainability in detail. I hope that one question from the sustainability will I think I'm very much sure that one question will be asked about sustainability because environmental science believes in sustainability. And whenever you will go for interview, in their interview, if you will tell that you have done environmental science as your compulsory subject, so definitely you will be asked to define sustainability. So I believe my student will learn the definition of sustainability by heart, and they will not do any mistake when anyone asks them to define sustainability. So what if someone asks you, or even if in the exam, if it is asked that what is sustainability, if you have done environmental science, so can you define sustainability? So you will say that sustainability is the development that meets the needs and aspirations of the current generation without compromising the ability to meet those of future generations. I hope this will help you. And if you face any problem, you have my WhatsApp number. You may contact me. Okay. Thank you for your precious time.